about Kim Jong-un, right?
Yeah, had to throw that in
I
there because
That's funny. North Korea, it's not a big issue for us. Like, he fires a rocket on Tuesday, it'd be like, "Oh, is it Tuesday again? Oh, he fired another
yeah,
rocket, so be it. What's for lunch today?" Everybody just goes about their business. We're not
yeah,
fazed by it.
Taxes are your biggest expense. The best way to reduce your burden is real estate. Increase your income with amazing returns and reduce your taxable income with real estate write offs. As an employee with a high salary, you're devastated by taxes. Lighten your burden with real estate tax incentives. You can offset your income with a W 2 job and from capital gains. Freedom Family Investments is the experienced partner you've been looking for. Our Real Estate Insider Fund is the vehicle. This fund invests in real estate projects that make an impact, and you can join us with as little as $50,000. Insiders get preferred returns of 10 to 12%. This means you get paid first. Insiders enjoy cash flow on a quarterly basis, and the tax benefits are life-changing. Join the Freedom Family and become a real estate insider. Start on your path to financial freedom through passive income. Text family to 66866. That's family to 66866. This is not a solicitation. Please text regarding this opportunity for complete details. This is for accredited investors only.
Are you tired of trying to keep ahead in the rat race, only to have so much of your hard-earned money going to the tax collector? Equity doesn't pay the bills. Retirement savings don't pay you now, and there are only 24 hours in a day to work. The only solution is passive income that pays you 24/7 now, not 40 years from now. From vetted investment opportunities to tax saving strategies, let John guide you through all the confusion and take control of your financial life in pursuit of financial freedom. So sit back, relax, and welcome to the Wealth and Freedom Nexus.
Check out the website simplepassivecashflow.com for podcasts, videos, articles, and free e-courses. If you guys have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to the team via email and we'll get you pointed in the right direction, whether it be an educational course or information about syndication deals. If you haven't read my book, The Journey to Simple Passive Cashflow, click the link below to get a free copy. Thanks to John and the Wealth and Freedom Nexus podcast. Our team is here to help you take the first step, or if you're a seasoned investor, then we're here to expand your reach into alternative investing.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Wealth and Freedom Nexus podcast. As always, I'm your host, John Rickard, investor, educator, and realtor. Now, this will actually be a little bit shorter intro than I've done in the past. Let's just say July has been quite the month, as of July 4th to tomorrow, July 31st, we'll have listed my mother-in-law's home, got an all-cash offer, packed up her entire home, put everything to storage, and got her into basically temporary housing while her new home was being built. So to say that July has been a little chaotic would be an extreme understatement. And that's not even getting into the lovely kitchen remodel, which if you're Facebook friends with me or I even have my cell phone number, you probably know what's been going on since December 2nd. So like I said, this will be a little bit shorter this time around. But it's been about 4 months since I did a country spotlight and figured it was high time to do one again. Now, I had to postpone one to later. I'm still hoping to have a guest on to talk about the country of Spain, which I myself am very interested about. Also trying to gear up Portugal, Turkey, and possibly Albania. Just networked with someone on LinkedIn. Never would have thought of Albania, but this individual has lived there about 2 years now and really likes it. So we'll see if that comes to fruition later. So in this case, we're going to be talking about Korea or South Korea, just so there isn't any confusion with North Korea. South Korea is an interesting country and has an interesting history, to say the least. Now, you've probably seen on the news or learned in history classes, the history of Korea, how there used to be one country, and then it was split. And then we had the Korean War back in the early 50s. And technically, North and South Korea are still at war with each other. 1953, a truce was called. So about 70 years ago, basically the truce just says we're kind of a stalemate. One side didn't declare victory over the other. And technically, the war is still going on. But that's when the DMZ, or the demilitarized zone, was established. And we've been kind of at a, status quo, if you will, ever since then. So a couple of things with South Korea. They are the largest drinkers in Asia. And actually, I want to say they're fond of drinking, but here in the United States, where some people might frown upon, having a beer on public transportation or out in certain public areas, not frowned upon in Asia at all. The South Koreans are actually one of the largest drinkers per capita in all of Asia. A little interesting thing too, and I speak of this with a toddler that's going to be turning 2 here soon. A newborn is considered 1 year old in South Korea. So once you are born, you're considered 1 year old at that point. And so your quote unquote first birthday is actually year 2, and so on. Just kind of thought that was interesting. And my guest actually brings this up a little bit. While 13 is unlucky in the US, 4 is unlucky in Korea. Korea also has a booming medical tourism industry, especially with cosmetic surgery. But if you're here in the United States or Canada, United Kingdom, and less than pleased with the access affordability of healthcare, you might want to tune into this. This might be an option for either medical tourism, or if you want to become an expat, or get residency in South Korea. As digital nomads are taken off and people can kind of work anywhere, or I should say a lot of people can work just about anywhere as long as they have a laptop, this might be an option for you. Now, speaking of laptop and speaking of, working nomadically, South Korea has one of the fastest internet speeds connections throughout the entire country. They pretty much beat any other country for upload and download speed. So obviously a plus if you're traveling and don't want to go to a third world country where internet connection is spotty at best. Now, for South Korea itself, you probably heard of the country Seoul. It is a large city, but Seoul is actually the 3rd largest city in the entire world. So it is a very large city by population. Now, also with South Korea, you might have heard of a company called Samsung, and that company there is actually responsible for 1/5 of the country's economy. The company Samsung, this would be like Apple, Netflix, Meta, Google, pretty much all the big companies here in the United States combined. Just think of 1/5 the size of the country's economy, or here in the United States, 1/5 being dominated by one country. By the way, on that note, we also pronounce Samsung wrong. We'll get into that a little bit with my guest. Now, finally, if this guest looks familiar, sounds familiar, maybe you're like, gosh, I've heard this voice before, but where have I heard it? Now, you've actually have heard this. This is my friend Jeremy, who I actually have known since I was in 5th grade in Slayton, Minnesota. So we're, oh boy, coming up on about 3 decades that I've known him. I went to the same high school together, worked together for a while. He was on episode 21 of Screw the W2 that you can find on my YouTube channel. Does the intro and outro of this podcast, as well as intros and voiceovers for many people worldwide, from voicemails, telephone trees of phone companies. He's actually done a lot of those. So it's really interesting the life that he has lived and where he's all been and where his life has taken him. And hence why we talk about South Korea here, because he has lived in the country for over a decade. So with that, we will dive into the country of South Korea with my guest, Jeremy Oliver.
Jeremy, how are things going in South Korea? I think it's, what'd you say, AM is PM plus 2 hours, if I remember right?
Yeah, that's about right. So if you're like Midwestern time in Minnesota, if it's like about, if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota time would probably be about 9:26 right about now, right? AM.
Correct. Yep.
Or PM. 9:26 p.m. on a Thursday. You just add 2 and switch the meridian. That's all you do. So it's
Gotcha.
11. It's almost lunchtime in
Okay.
Korea. And you were talking about how's it in Korea? It is very windy and rainy. We are in the wet season right now. So
Okay.
if for the next week, we're talking rain showers every day. And it's been the same for the
Wow.
last week. But this naturally happens in Korea, and we have the same humidity as Minnesota. So
Okay.
sticky.
Interesting. So
Spoken my piece on that one. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, no, you kind of a good way to start on the topic. So maybe we could back up. I mean, obviously, I've known you since high school, but for my listeners and viewers that don't know you, I'll give a little teaser into my Screw the W2 episodes. Check that out as far as how Jeremy ended up in South Korea. But maybe you can just tell my listeners here, how long have you been in South Korea now?
Actually, we have come up the beginning of this year. We've come up on my 10 years in Korea. It's 10 years consecutive, but it's actually 11 because I did spend 1 year as U.S. Army at one of the Army bases. So yes, I am a
Okay,
veteran.
gotcha. Okay. Now you had mentioned with the humidity season, wet, rainy, same humidity as Minnesota.
Yeah.
The time of this recording, I'm actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We're getting quite a bit of a heat wave as well. But what is the climate, like on the other seasons? And then is there any, hurricanes, typhoons, or Kim Jong-un nuclear rockets you need to worry about?
Okay. Oh yeah, I'll address I'll address each of those in as you said them. Yes, the different seasons follow kind of Minnesota in a way, but not with the snow. Because when I
Okay.
visited home and I visited you, you guys were getting snow and it made such a miserable time. Not
Yeah.
meeting you, but driving,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah.
But so I live in Busan, which if you look at the map of Korea, it would be considered like the Miami if you look like a map of Florida. So
Okay.
yeah, if you were Miami, Busan is like the Miami of Korea, and the capital city of Seoul would be like what's it, Tallahassee, I believe, up by the border of Georgia.
Yep.
Tell me
Yeah,
if I got
correct.
that right or wrong. Okay,
Yeah, no,
so it's
Tallahassee is the capital of Florida. Yes.
yeah, so I mean where the capital is, I think it's up in the northwest corner, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Yes.
Oh, it's like that. It's exactly like that. And people ask me, "Well, why didn't you go to Seoul?" I didn't go to Seoul because too many people. That's 10 million people in a big city.
Wow.
I can't do that. 4
Yeah.
million people in Busan, the beach city. Oh yeah, I can do that. Okay, but
Gotcha.
I'll continue to answer your questions here. Storms that we get around here, we're coming into typhoon season.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, monsoon season. Sorry, monsoon, not typhoon. We get typhoons that come around periodically in the summer, which are basically another name for hurricane.
Yeah.
Over here, they call them typhoons. Over in the States, they call them hurricanes. Same thing, just based on where you are in the world. So we get those monsoon rains, which are very strong storms. But that's because it's wet season right now.
Okay.
And winter times, we rarely ever see in Busan, we rarely ever see snow, which I appreciate. But when people see snow, they're like, yay. And then my PTSD of Minnesota winters goes, oh, no, screw that. No, no, thank you. And then the last thing you asked about Kim Jong-un, right?
Yeah. Had to throw that in
I,
there because
that's funny. North Korea, it's not a big issue for us. Like he fires a rocket on Tuesday, it'd be like, oh, is it Tuesday again? Oh, he fired another
yeah.
rocket. So be it. What's for lunch today? Everybody just goes about their business. We're not phased by it. So there we
Gotcha.
go. That's for anybody who hasn't heard from our Screw the W2 episode.
Okay, that sounds good. I know you said you've been in South Korea for 10 years, and you're in let's just call it the Miami of South Korea. There or in South Korea in general, is there a large, expat, digital nomad population for the United States at all? Or are you kind of a one-off there?
Yeah. No, they're like the basic, like the huge city centers like Seoul and Busan. There's huge like expat and like the foreigner communities. They're
Yeah.
around. I just happen to live in a city it's like a suburb city of Busan called Yongsan. And there's not a lot of foreigners up here, but
Okay.
you make your connections. And if you actually walk down the street and you like see a foreigner, if you did like generalize it and guess that they're an English teacher, you'd be about 70% correct. And it's
Okay.
just, and most of us teach English here. Me, I've taken time away from that right now so I can focus on my voiceover industry, which
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the commercials if you've been watching Johnny's Screw the W2. Okay. Okay, enough
But even
plugging.
for the
Okay.
intro of this show, you've done that since day one.
Yeah. And I'm happy to do another one if you're so inclined. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, if anybody wants to know more about Korea, like if you have any understanding, here's what's strange about it. My wife is a tour guide, and of course she is one of the best tour guides, not opinion, it's fact. My wife is one of the best tour guides. She's done, like, Hollywood celebrities have come and done tours with her. Recently she did one of the Bond girls. Uh,
Really?
yeah, from the movie Octopussy. It was the number one Bond girl. I believe her name is last name is Adams. I can't remember her first name right now. But Roger Moore's movie. She came
Okay.
and did a tour in Busan, a private tour with my wife, and it
Wow.
was wonderful. Yeah, it was great. So, to get an idea of the size of Korea and the population density, imagine 50 million people in the size of Indiana. That's
Okay.
what you're looking at. Yeah,
Gotcha.
that's no, we're not walking all over each other. This isn't China. We're not walking on
Sure.
top of each other. Yeah. So, it's pretty well, like, laid out, well, as far as well as can be because the
Yeah.
population keeps increasing so much.
Gotcha.
Okay, so there we go.
So,
Next.
well, yeah, and actually, I'll skip to another question because you kind of brought this up. Is
Yeah,
English widely spoken, or is it mainly just Korean, or have you been exposed to like a mix of languages in your 10 years there?
mostly, yeah, you come in run-ins with you run in with the Korean language all the
Okay.
time. Well, it's national language. So, yeah, you run into that quite often. If you go to the major city centers, then of course, like I say, Busan, or there's other cities like close to Busan, like Daegu, which is another metropolitan city. Our friend Ryan, he lives there.
Okay.
He
Yeah.
lives in Daegu. Yeah. My best friend Ryan from the same college that we went to. And Seoul is very English friendly. But
Okay.
when you get it out into the country areas, you're going to struggle.
Gotcha.
But with the advent of technology, we have translators. So
Yeah.
Korea has its own dedicated translator that we use, and it's very
Okay.
good. The technology is very good.
Interesting. All right. So now moving on with maybe you can speak more to, Busan or, rural areas versus, Seoul and whatnot. How does the cost of living, compare with, well, little old Marshall, Minnesota, but maybe just the US in general? And specifically, maybe we'll just touch on housing, food, and healthcare, which I know you and I talked about quite a bit offline before we hit record.
Oh, I could talk forever and a day about healthcare, but we'll start with housing. In Korea, we because the population is so dense,
Mm,
they choose to live in apartments. But here's the difference between America and Korea. In Korea, you can buy your apartment. You don't
hmm.
just rent, you can buy it. We
Yeah.
bought our apartment. It's not it's not huge by any stretch of the means, but it's enough for two people.
Mhm.
So that's one thing. A huge difference when it comes to like the housing market here is you can buy you can buy a lot of different places, whether it be commercial properties or even like residential properties. You can turn those into Airbnbs and make a good profit from it.
Really?
And
Okay.
you can do it through renting, and that's totally fine. So, yeah, a lot of people are actually starting to do that. That's a new wave that's coming around for like apartments in Korea.
Okay.
So people aren't just like moving to different cities. They are actually just going to an apartment, signing the contract, renting it, and then starting their own Airbnb service where they just furnish the
Interesting.
apartment and people come in instead of having to go to like hotels and motels and stuff.
Yeah.
So the next thing was, oh yeah, food and cost of living, right?
Yep.
Food is amazingly priced.
Okay.
It's quite a bit cheaper than America, and you have a mix of farmers markets and the grocery stores.
Okay.
Grocery stores, marts, super big box marts or whatever. We have a mixture of those two. But the good news about the farmers markets is that they are completely local. So if I buy something from our farmers market, it was grown within probably a 10-mile radius of
Okay.
where that farmers market is. And that's one thing we really love. And they always love seeing me because I'm like this tall white foreigner. In my area, I'm the token white guy in my area.
Gotcha.
Like my apartment, I'm the only big white foreigner in my apartment complex. Anything like in my area, they're like, "Oh, it's that guy," or "It's Jeremy." It's like they either know my name or it's like, "Hey, it's that guy."
Gotcha.
But those farmers markets, I really love that idea. Yeah.
Is
So
there anything you like? I don't know if there's a Whole Foods or Walmart around the corner per se, but is there U.S. products that you can get? Like if you want a bottle of Coca-Cola, you can, or is pretty much every Western product from the U.S. that you are familiar with not available?
we have the big one that they tried Walmart in Korea and
Okay.
it stuck like a very short time. But the big one here is called Emart. Emart is
Okay.
the Walmart of Korea. People didn't like the idea of Walmart, so what they did is they took that building space and then just turned it into an Emart.
Gotcha.
So I cannot explain in detail on why they call it that, why they don't like the Walmarts. So I don't know the real reason, but I'm pretty sure it has to do with the culture. I don't know. But
Gotcha.
yeah, we have an Emart Traders, which is a very similar to Costco.
Okay.
And that's in my neighborhood. So me and my wife go down there very often. We get products in bulk, and sometimes we get some American products that pop through. So yeah, Coke is like, there are convenience stores on like every corner. And even in my apartment complex, we have a convenience store.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
yeah. So Coke and Pepsi and all those things completely available.
Gotcha.
And then a whole bunch of beer because they're more lenient where and how you can buy beer in Korea. Like at
Gotcha.
restaurants, you can have beer in restaurants, so it's
Okay.
fine.
You don't have to be 21, or how does that work? Or
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah,
oh, okay.
the Korean age is 19. Well, I'm
Gotcha.
probably 20 right now because they did away with what's called the Korean age. They technically did away with it because it was too confusing for so many people. It's a confusing concept that has been around for far too long. And they finally went with Western age now. So now everybody's the same age, finally. Or where
Okay.
they're supposed to be. What I
Korean
think is
ages.
normal. Yeah, Korean age, when you're born, you're automatically 1 year old. I mean, that's
Ah,
1 years old. Yeah. Yeah, it's
that get a little
strange.
confusing.
And then every time you have your birthday, and then when the year comes, like Happy New Year, like New Year, January 1st, another year, you're another year older. So it's a really confusing concept, but it's
Okay.
their concept. It's the culture concept.
Huh,
They eliminated
interesting.
that. Now they do it the same way as we do.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Mhm.
Sorry, I just had to not to interject. Like Korean age,
Oh,
what's that?
yeah. No. It's I say that, and yeah, you're being a good interviewer by asking what is that, right? Okay, so we were on food. Okay, medical, I won't spend too much time on because I've talked on my Instagram and all that stuff about medical a lot. Because I love medical in Korea. Korea's national medical. Everybody has it. So when you go to any doctor or any hospital, you're already in the system. So all you have to do is just show your foreign ID and
Mm,
they'll take that number down and then they'll charge you accordingly. But when I
okay.
say charging accordingly, this is where I talk about my physical that I had last week or this week. So this is we were talking about this earlier. So I had a physical done and I'll do the pricing for you. Very simple. You know what? A typical physical, they take your blood, they do the urine
Hmm.
test. Yeah, they do like an X-ray or like a chest X-ray or something like that. I don't know if
Hmm.
that's normal in America, but they do a chest X-ray. They did an endoscope. If you don't know endoscope, it's that scope they go down your throat and they check your colon, your throat and colon and everything
Yeah.
from the top. Of course, they put you to sleep for that. So they did an endoscope, but for me, they found a little scar tissue on the inside. So what they did is oh God, they cut a little scar tissue out and they biopsied it. And the reason is because I have acid reflux. So
Okay.
go figure. They're just checking to make sure everything's good. So they did that. They gave me some medicine to help with my acid reflux. Now, all of that stuff, that laundry list of stuff that I just mentioned, all together, even with the X-ray, $80 altogether. Just
Wow.
$80. That's it.
And that's
That's it.
fully $80, or that's your copay, or is there a
No, that's the
here in
national
the
health
United
care.
States? Okay.
Yeah, that's the national health care. That's $80. If I ever get sick, if I ever get a cold, I will go to a doctor, my local doc, who I've been going to for the last 10 years. Yes, he speaks English. He loves speaking
Okay.
English with me because I'm an exercise science major. So we talk health science all the time.
Gotcha.
He loves that. So I go there and I'm sick. So he checks me, checks my nose, checks my ears, checks my throat and all that stuff. And he says, you got a cold. You got the seasonal cold. So I do a thing with him. He writes me up a prescription. I go to the pharmacy, get my prescription. Altogether, his visit, the prescription, all the medicine for about between 5 and 7 days, somewhere between like 10 and $15. No
Jeez.
deal. That's how national healthcare works. And it's
Okay.
good for everybody. And the elderly in the country, the healthcare is free.
Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, the Star of Alabama, the most populous city in Alabama, ranked as the best place to live by U.S. News and World Report. It's also a great place to invest in, and best of all, it is the place for this year's Spartan Summit by Spartan Invest. Join me and many other investors as we tour the Huntsville market with the Spartan team. Learn what sets their property management and turnkey services apart from others, and why they have been consistently ranked on Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies. Go to SpartanInvest.com today and reserve your tickets. Best of all, use promo code WFreedomNexus for 15% off your tickets. Join me October 4th through the 6th in Huntsville, Alabama, and unlock your legacy with Spartan Invest.
Okay. What's considered elderly? 65, 67? Or...
Yeah. Or like, if you're up to like 65, if you're retirement age.
Okay.
So the healthcare is free. There's good and bad with that. The good is that, yes, they can go to any hospital anytime they want. But we learn not to go to the hospitals on Mondays because all of a sudden they take advantage of that situation. And in their heads, they're like, well, maybe there's something wrong with me, or this is wrong with me, or blah, blah, blah. And then you have a whole bunch of elderly people in the hospital first thing in the morning, Monday morning.
Gotcha.
And this happens in the morning, like almost all week. And then the doctors have to constantly reassure them, no, you just woke, you just slept wrong, or just something in the air. You got something in your throat. It's nothing serious. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the way national healthcare, that's how it works. It's one of the greatest things about Korea. It really is.
Okay. So, I suppose that can be a plus or minus or a pro and con, like you said. If you get a hypochondriac and, it's free, I'm just going to go in for anything under the sun. But then here in the United States, we have the opposite problem where, I've been having this stomach pain for the last 2 months, but gosh, it's so expensive, I don't want to do it. And then they go in, they find they got stage 4 pancreatic cancer or some, horrible disease.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's just like here in Korea, like you never think of going to the doctor. You're not going to see a doctor if you have a cold, right? Because in America, we're programmed to be, we just go to like Walgreens, or we go to a pharmacy at like our Hy-Vee or local store, and we just get some NyQuil or something like that and just knock it out. But no, here they diagnose you, give you the proper drugs, and send you on your way. And you're good within a week.
Okay. And since you mentioned that, and at the time I'm, recording this, there's, I don't know, you could kind of point fingers like, here's a good example of this, here's a bad example of this. I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too much with, Canada's healthcare system and the UK's healthcare system. But let's just say, pick your ailment and you say, yep, I need to make an appointment with my doctor. How long of a time frame is that you, from the time you call it to the time you meet him? Is it a 6-week time frame or what?
Oh, to meet with my doctor?
Right.
Oh, if I get sick, I drive to where his place is. I go in the parking, I park my car. Yes, I do drive in Korea. So I park my car. I will go up to the front desk, show them my ID card, sit and wait for about, 20 minutes or so and see him. That's it.
Wow. All right.
When we do like the physical, of course we have to schedule that.
Sure.
And we'll schedule it a week before. And they'll give you like certain instructions, like the night before, you stop eating at 9 p.m., but then you stop drinking water at midnight because you're doing an endoscope.
Yeah.
So things like that, they'll tell you what to do. And then you set up you schedule your appointment. But if you have any like emergency or anything that goes wrong, you just walk straight into the hospital
Okay.
or doctor's office. You just walk straight in. It's
Wow.
walk-ins. Yeah,
Okay.
because they have lots of clinics everywhere. Korea is very
Interesting.
populated with things. Yeah. Convenience is the key in Korea. They love convenience. Yeah.
Gotcha. All
I
right.
mean,
Well,
I will talk. Yeah. Today in this conversation, if you want the good about Korea and the bad, you're going to get both. So I'm going to actually tell you some of the negatives as well. So that
okay.
you're going to get both sides of the coin today. Okay. Go ahead. I'm ready.
So, no, I was just going to say with the healthcare thing, like you say, you just walk in, show your card, you're in. Where, here in the US, it's like, oh, well, you have Blue Cross, so you have United Health, you have this plan. Oh, well, this is in network, this is out of network, this is part of your copay. You have not met your copay yet, so here it is. And, even in, small towns, it's not uncommon that unless it's an emergency or some kind of a, you know, pre-disaster event, I know people that are waiting for 8 weeks before they can get appointments in. So
Oh, that's no, no, thank you. Yeah, we may have become a little bit more pampered in Korea because of the convenience, but
gotcha.
they are technologically, healthcare is a big priority in this country.
Mm,
So their technology is equal to America. I mean,
yeah.
not with like Mayo Clinic or anything, but I mean,
Sure, yeah.
just like the usual like hospitals and stuff.
Okay. Well, and
Yeah.
I believe I don't have the stats in front of me, but generally speaking, the life expectancy in Korea is higher than the US, I believe.
Well, yeah, because of the healthcare system.
Yeah.
Because when you become elderly, they do as much to prolong your life as possible.
Okay. On that note, and if you don't know this, that's totally fine. But here in the United States, what we've been seeing a lot of is the kind of the long-term care crisis. I mean, just a couple of days ago, I was talking with an investor in Oklahoma City. They're opening up an assisted living facility.
Ah,
And, for an investor, a business owner, that is, really good. But for a, elderly family, a citizen, whatever you want to, label you want to put on it, paying $5,000 to $10,000 a month for long-term care is pretty expensive. Is that the same way in Korea, or how does that work, or is culture-wise a little bit different?
culture-wise, a little bit different because
Okay.
if you see how like if you've been to Mexico, right?
Yeah, twice.
Yeah, you've been there, and you see how like the family, how close
Mhm.
family is. Like, I'm not talking Fast and Furious. Family. It's all
Yeah,
about
no,
family. Yeah, family. Most of the time, the senior age, they pretty much live with their families most of the
okay.
time. They do have like senior healthcare places, and because those places are run very similarly to the hospitals, they get very good care.
Okay.
And they don't really have to pay too much because the I think the family will have to pay a little bit. I don't know the whole situation with that because
Sure.
I don't have the full knowledge, but it is much more lenient than the States, much more lenient.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like, they have a value of their elderly community, and I didn't add this, but Oriental care is also as equal to Western medical care in Korea. So, the elderly will have a chance to either choose to go to a regular doctor or do Oriental medicine, and
Hmm.
sometimes my wife does that. Sometimes she'll go to an Oriental care doctor for certain things, and that's fine, and because of that culture and that family-oriented thing, most of the time, the elderly do live with their families because
Gotcha.
they took care of their children when times were tough back in, like, post-war. But
Okay.
then it's kind of their family's obligation and kind of paying it forward, kind of paying it back in a way.
Gotcha.
So it's like that.
All right.
Yeah, they do have those facilities. I've been there through the Army as part of a good neighbor program to visit elderly, like, assisted living care places, and
Okay.
everything seemed great. I mean, they seemed very happy, so
All right. Sounds
that's
good.
all good.
Now, with shifting a little bit here, obviously you're doing your voiceover business and your
Yes.
wife's a tour guide. Now,
Yes.
this is kind of a two-piece question here. Generally speaking, in your experience, how business friendly is South Korea in general? And then with that, how is the taxation structure, if you will, set up in Korea versus what you experienced when you lived in the United States?
We can save money here. I'm just telling you that. That starts with that. Okay. Here in Korea, the business work-wise, I know as a fact I could be employed right now with any school that has like children, whether it's a private academy or a public school. I know
Okay,
that, but right now I don't want to teach kids.
sure.
What it's about, yeah, for me, what it's about is crowd control. Like
Mhm.
as Tim used to call it back in the day, herding cats. It is like
Yeah.
herding cats. And these are spoiled cats because the culture went the culture increased so fast that conveniences became easier and parents want to spoil their kids. So, yeah, that's linked to the first part of your question.
Mhm.
So a lot of these like academies and stuff, they popped up and English academies and stuff, they all have like jobs and stuff. And you can even do private lessons if you want. Because
Okay.
I am married to a Korean national, I have that visa where I can do whatever job I want.
Okay.
I can go and work wherever I want. So I sometimes I do private lessons. Like I will meet at like a coffee shop. Coffee shops, I want a sidebar here. Coffee shops in Korea, Korea loves their coffee. If you like coffee
Gotcha.
shops, they're everywhere. I'm
Okay.
not joking when I say that.
And
I
I'm
can
not
think
saying
of
guessing
yeah.
Starbucks, like actual authentic coffee
Oh, there
shops, or
no, there's a Starbucks
or sorry,
nearby
okay.
down the road. But I know in Marshall there's like about 3 or 4 dedicated coffee shops. I know that
Yep.
in our hometown. But here in where I live, probably within like a 5-mile radius of my apartment, there's probably between 15 and 20 coffee shops. They
Jeez.
have them, they're everywhere. I'm not kidding you when I say that. I have one that I walked to recent and I did a private lesson yesterday.
Okay.
That yeah, we just meet at the coffee shop and they just pay us directly. So there's
Okay.
things like that. I can do that. Okay, but I'm sorry, I went off the rails a little bit. Okay,
No, no, that's fine.
back to the thing is that it is easy to get a job over here. It is. But it depends on what kind of BS you want to go through in your job. Every job has that. But because like you said, Wealth and Freedom Nexus, I am trying to be my own independent agent here. I'm
Hmm.
trying to do my own thing. I'm trying to get my income to be something that I love to do, not
Sure.
something I have to do. But okay,
Yeah.
my wife, her job, she's freelance just like me. I'm a freelance English and voiceover, and she is freelance tour guide. She's working
Gotcha.
today, so she's taking care of a family from the States who are here in Busan, and she's giving them private tour. She is raking in the money right now because tourism after post-COVID
Yeah.
boomed here. Oh my God, the floodgates opened, metaphorically. The floodgates opened, the all the cruise tours, the cruise ships came back.
Okay.
She has been nonstop since March. So
Wow.
yeah, barely any time off. But now things are slowing down because the season's changing. So when it comes to finances, the taxes are not as brutal as the States
Okay.
when it comes to being taxed. They have a certain percentage of tax. I want to say no more than 30%,
Okay.
something like that. They don't try to go 50%. It's insane. That
Sure.
yeah. So they go at a certain percent and we pay. I don't have to report this back to the States. I probably do have to report it, but I don't have to pay separate taxes back to the States. The agreement
So-
that America had with Korea is that if you pay taxes in Korea, you don't have to pay in the States. You just have to report it.
Yeah.
Which for clarity, I haven't in the last couple of years. So, but I will eventually get to it. You know, it's one of those things that I'm living here. I feel like I don't owe them anything. I mean,
Well,
that's
I know
kind of
there's
how I feel.
and not to go down the tax
Go for it.
advisory rabbit hole, and I'm not obviously a tax advisor, a tax accountant.
Yeah, but go for it.
This is, of course, we're doing this well now 10 p.m. Central Time, so my brain's a little
Mhm.
misfiring. But there is the agreement worldwide that if you're a U.S. citizen living abroad, you can earn up to I
Yeah, I know it's a
6 figures
It is six figures. I think it's 190,000. I think 110, between 110 or 190. I forget.
I want to say like
I know
120, 130 that you can
Yeah.
earn, and depending on how you're taxed on it within South Korea. But you as a U.S. citizen, because U.S. is actually one of two countries in the entire world, the United States and Eritrea, and you can probably guess which probably has bigger teeth within their tax collection services. But regardless, the United States, they view, hey, if you're a U.S. citizen, we're going to tax you anywhere and everywhere. Where Panama and other countries, they're like, hey, if you make money overseas, it's not here, we're not taxing you on it. But the U.S. is kind enough, if you will, that, okay, you can earn up to so much overseas actual earned income and not owe any taxes on. But obviously, like you alluded to, you don't have to pay the taxes to Uncle Sam, but you do to Auntie Sol. I don't know if they have a nickname for Korea. Like
no, we
have in the
we
United
actually
States.
don't have a name for that, but no, I can safely tell you that I don't even make anything close to that.
Gotcha.
So, I don't make anything close to that amount. So I'm that's okay. We make enough for a living, and the good news about Korea is because of the low taxes and the reasonable healthcare and all that stuff adds up to the point where we can actually save money.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. So yeah, if anybody wants to, like, let me throw this in as another little nugget for anybody who is like, well, what if I ever want to come over to Korea and teach English?
Mhm.
If you do, you will make no less than $2,000 a month. No less.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll make no less. The starting pay is about probably $2,100 to $2,300 a month.
Okay.
And they pay for your housing and all that stuff. All you have to do is pay for your utilities, which are very cheap. Utilities are cheap here.
Okay.
Water, gas, and electric, they're all cheap.
Interesting.
So at the end of the day, if you're not like a crazy person running around drinking it yourself to death every weekend or trying to travel to every corner of Korea on the weekend, you can save a lot of money. It's
Yeah.
one of those things. But yeah, so taxes are not crazy here. They're not trying to nickel dime you for every little thing. I do not miss that. I really don't.
Gotcha.
There
And
are
as far
things I
as
miss, and yeah, there are things I miss, but
so, and I think, well, two things. As far as savings, like you had mentioned
Mhm.
before, is there a not Bank of America, Bank of Korea, or do you use Venmo, PayPal, base, a mixture, or
you know as well as I do that I use PayPal,
yes?
because that's how we do our business transactions. That's not a secret.
Well, for those
Venmo
that
is
don't
something.
know,
Yeah, Venmo is something. Yeah, so if anybody does any business with me, PayPal is my preferred. So yeah, Venmo I've never heard of actually. Over here in Korea,
really?
we have not. Yeah, we have not heard of that one. I've
Okay, maybe it's
I,
just an American
I'm
one. So
It is. I think it is just an American one because I've only recently heard of it within the last couple months.
okay,
It's something that's not common over here. They have my bank in Korea is called KB Bank, a
okay,
Korean bank is referred to as KB. And KB Bank, we do all of our business there, all of our bank transfers. Here's the way business works for freelancers. If you do a job with someone, all you do is at least have your bank book, and your bank book has like on the first page of the bank book is your information for your bank account. You take a picture of that, you send it to the person that you are doing the bank transaction with. They will take those numbers from that bank account and they'll just send the money from their bank to your bank. That's it.
interesting.
Yeah, no fees. So yeah, I'm starting to kind of venture into acting. So I've done
Okay,
I've done some background acting for some K-dramas, and a casting company that I worked for, that's how they did business. They're like, you work for one day as an extra, and then just send us your bank book information. Take a picture of the bank book, send it to them. That night, we got the money in my account. I'm like, okay, cool.
okay.
So yeah, that was really cool. And my friend Lewis introduced me to that because he's the acting guy.
Gotcha.
So I'm doing voice acting and kind of getting into acting. Hopefully, we'll see.
All
We'll see
right.
how that goes. I'm trying to spread my wings a little bit. So we'll
Yeah,
see how
nothing
that
wrong
goes.
with that. No. So
No, not at all. because right now financially we're doing great because of my wife, and my voiceover is not doing so hot right now because of the season. It's slow
Right.
season.
Nice. It's very so cyclical, and summer kind of dies off, and school year or Western school year, if you want to call it like that,
Yeah, the
season
voiceover
kind of pick
industry.
up.
Yep, the voiceover industry shadows the school year because you go on vacation. The people who are having business jobs and they have kids, they're going to go on vacation in the summer. So that tends to happen.
All right.
Oh,
Sounds good.
oh yeah. Okay, I'm ready for next shot. Let's go.
Well, that's actually the end of the official questions I ask all my guests for, as we learned about Cambodia
I
and
am.
Colombia and Belize
Yeah.
and Nicaragua and now South Korea. Maybe as two final notes, Jeremy, is there any one like last nugget of information on Korea? I don't know, interesting fact or something
Oh,
you
I've got a few.
think
I
would
got
be
a few.
interesting. So,
Yes, I got two things that just came to my head. Two things that came to my head. If you have never been to any of the Asian countries and you don't want to go to a country where you'll feel completely alienated because it's so far removed from Western culture, like American culture,
mhm.
Korea is a good place to start because Korean culture, a lot of its structure, a lot of its, how do I say, society is based off of American society because we helped them in the war. So Korea would be a very safe transition to Asian culture for anyone.
Gotcha.
Korea is very communist. Japan, they're very standoffish. What I mean by standoffish is they're nice, they smile and all that stuff, but they're they're hiding a lot behind that. They
Okay.
mask their kind of true intent. I'm not trying to negatively say that, but I've been to Japan and my wife has had a lot of communication with Japanese people, and they don't really say what they think. Koreans
Mm.
will wear their emotions on their sleeve. If you've seen
Gotcha.
K-dramas or the other things, yes, it's that. Yeah, the other thing that came to mind, if you come to Korea, yeah, definitely come to Busan. Maybe you can get my wife to tour. You just got to contact me and everything will be cool. But when you come, a lot of Americans who come to Korea, you taste with your eyes. And that's one thing I've changed since I've been here. You know what I mean, right? You see something like,
Oh,
oh, that looks gross, right? Oh, ew.
okay.
Like, no, no, just taste, just go experience it mouth first. That's my
Gotcha.
experience. My advice, just pop it in your mouth. If you don't like it, that's fine. But don't just judge it by looking or smelling it because you never
Okay.
know when it might be something you like. So
Gotcha.
and I've learned a lot about that. And Korean food is very healthy.
Okay.
So, and I really enjoy that. Lots of vegetables, as my wife says, which
All
we
right.
need a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh vegetables from the farmer's market from 5-10 miles grown or 5-10 miles away that was grown.
Yeah. And my wife is a wonderful cook. And I love that
Good.
about her. Yeah. So just a last final thing. If you do move to Korea, just understand that, or if you visit Korea, there's a lot of things that you're gonna miss in the States. Like things you take for granted are gonna be gone. You were talking earlier about what was that? You guys were talking about the state fairs and the county fairs.
Yeah. County fairs.
I
Yeah.
I miss that. I really miss that. Halloween. I have not experienced Halloween for 10 years. I hate that
Okay.
fact. They don't celebrate it over here. Not really.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
it's for the children. It's not for the
Yeah.
culture. If foreigners wanna celebrate Halloween, we have to go to, like, one of the local pubs and do, like, costume stuff, and it's not a culture thing, and that's pumpkin pie, I miss that. So, it was nice that one of my friends, Paula, you know Paula, she
Oh
made me
yeah.
an entire pumpkin pie when I visited last time, which was
Nice.
magical. It was magical. So, things like that you'll miss. But
Gotcha.
the benefits outweigh the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. They really do.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
I have spoken my piece.
All right. Well, and as maybe a final note, Jeremy, if anyone has, well, two parts. One, maybe they're interested in learning more about Korea, whether visiting or maybe, you know, expat, digital nomad, army, etc. They're looking at relocating. Or a little plug for Jeremy if you're needing voiceover opportunities or voiceover needs fulfilled, just like he did for my podcast, the Wealth and Freedom Nexus. What's the best way to reach out to you?
To me is on my website, which I hope you'll link it to the chat here. Yes, my website. My website has my email. My email is my lifeblood. That's my lifeline. So if you email me, it can be voiceover. I know it says Jeremy Olivier VO, but you can talk to me about voiceover. You can talk to me about Korea. If you're a military person and you're moving on to base in Korea and need some information, let me know. I'll take care of you. If you need a tour, if you need any tours here and you're coming close to Busan, contact me. I'll see what we can do. Other than that, yeah, it's my lifeline. And visit my website. I got some fun stuff there for you.
Sounds good. Well,
All right.
again, thanks for your time, Jeremy. And for those listening, be sure to check out Jeremy's website, which is, as always, in a clickable format in the show notes. With that, we will close out another country spotlight and stay tuned for the next one, which hopefully we'll have 2 more right at the end of 2023.
Awesome. Thank you for listening. Be sure to share, rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. For more updates, check out www.wealthandfreedomnexus.com. Remember, nothing on this show should be considered tax, legal, investment, or professional advice. This show is produced solely for educational and informational purposes. Please consult an appropriate and licensed tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for specific advice for your situation. For distribution or publication rights or media interviews, please contact the host.